transformation, where insight meets action and people learn to move forward with purpose. Miss Jackie, another week, another great episode on Coaching 101. Well, people, I am inviting you to please do listen to our new episode with Miss Jackie on Motivation 101. That's why I forgot to change my logo.
I didn't see it until we just about went live. It's too
Yes.
late. That's
Yes,
okay.
it's too late, but people, Miss Jackie is my new co-host on Motivation 101, and please do listen to our latest episode. We talk about what is your why in life? Why?
Yes. And I
Interesting
think the
topic.
coaching and the motivation, they go hand in hand, right? They're connected.
Yes,
So I think that's important.
they're interconnected, definitely. And Miss Jackie, what will be our topic for today?
So today's episode will be what resistance is really telling you. So to me, resistance is often a signal, not just a problem. So kind of interesting, right? Yes.
Mm, interesting, yes. So,
Yes.
my first question, Miss Jackie, what is resistance and why do we often experience it when pursuing meaningful goals?
Yes. I think a lot of times resistance can look like avoidance, indecision, maybe even silence, excuses, or somebody pushing back. So it's easy. I think it's easy to label resistance as laziness. I've often done that before in the past. Like if someone's resisting, I'm thinking, oh, they're just lazy. They don't want to do that. But resistance usually is signals to us that there's something deeper happening internally. So what coaching helps us do is to explore what the resistance is actually protecting. What's the underlying cause of it, right? And not just to look at the surface of it, but to dig deeper.
Definitely. To pause is something else. Resistance is internal, well, or external force that creates hesitation, doubt, or fear when we move towards something meaningful or important. It often shows up for procrastination, self doubt, overthinking, or even distraction that pulls us away from our goals. So, Miss Jackie, how can resistance signal that you are stepping outside your comfort zone into growth?
Mm. Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. But I think that's important
Yes.
because, yeah, sometimes when, like we were mentioning, resistance can reveal certain things. So, and uncover what's, what's really going on behind the scenes, right? So once that's brought to the surface, I think that's important because then you can address it and then you can have the client move on. So as a coach, I think that's the key to unlocking greater potential. So sometimes resistance is seen as a negative thing, but I think it can actually be at the in the end of it a positive thing as long as the coach approaches it the right way with the client. I think that it can actually mm, lead to growth and lead to better change and that positivity rather than looking at it in a negative way. See how you can flip the script on it.
Well said, Miss Jackie. Yes, resistance can signal that you are stepping outside your comfort zone and to a growth because it often appears when you are about to do something new, challenging, or meaningful. When you move beyond familiar routines, feelings such as fear, doubt, or hesitation culturally or naturally arise because of the outcomes of uncertain. And the big question, Miss Jackie, how or what fears commonly appears as resistance when you are close to making important change?
Yes, I think there's so many different types of fear, and I think I've experienced most of these, if not all of them. So I think there's the fear of failure, right? If you're close to
Yes.
something, you fear that failure, like, oh my goodness, if I take that next step, what happens if I fail? There can also be the other side of the coin, fear of success. Like if I'm successful at this, what is that going to mean for me? Uh, am I going to be able to handle this, right? Am I going to be able to handle the additional responsibility that comes with that? There's also that fear of disappointment, whether it's someone else being disappointed in us being disappointed in ourselves. And I think also this is the big one. I think this is what most people fear, is fear of change, right? Change, we're creatures of habit as human beings.
Mhm.
So there's also that fear of change. Like if I go and step out and I do this, then what change is that going to have in my life, and can I handle that change? So I think now that I'm talking through all of those and revealing those, I think I've had all of those at some point in my life, maybe more than once, when I've done something new. So it's tough, you know. I applied for uh for another type of position at my organization in my department, and I knew that was going to be a great position for me, and I stepped out of my comfort zone and I applied for the job, and I didn't get it. My colleague ended up getting the job, but at the end of it I thought, well, okay, that's all right. I thought at first, you know, what if I get this job and then I end up having more work on my plate? So I actually had a fear of success, and it kind of took me back a little bit. And I just said, okay, no, just do the interview, and if you don't get it, that's okay. But yeah, it's I think I had that fear of change for a moment there, and a fear of success, because what if I do get it? Then what will happen, right? So we tend to do that to ourselves more often than we want to admit, probably.
Yes, definitely. We always have fears of losing our anything. But failures or losing something, there will be a growth for that. You will learn from that to be more successful because you will learn from those things that, let's say, to persevere more, right?
Right.
To give more knowledge of what you're doing. Because for the first time, for sure, you don't know what you're doing. Creating a business, creating a podcast, creating something else, courses, for the first time, you will fail, just like me. I do lot like what? Courses on Food 101, which is I failed for that. And then I will learn from that failure. And we're doing again another courses with Miss Jackie. And for sure, I will give an insight that, oh, Miss Jackie, I failed for that aspect of coaching or making that course. So let's do this way.
Hmm. Right.
So that's a good thing. Don't afraid to commit mistake, failure, or anything else because they are good lessons in life. You
Right.
will be more successful. So, Miss Jackie, how can resistance reveal what truly matters do you or to you and what you deeply care about?
Yes. Yes. I think a lot of times that resistance can reveal uh, uncertainty about our identity as a person, or our capacity of what we can do. So I think one thing we can do is to, as coaches, respond with curiosity rather than trying to control somebody. So I think it's important to kind of see where that uncertainty is coming from, because a lot of times that fear is there, but what's underneath the surface? It could be uncertainty in certain things. So I think that resistance can reveal a lot, and I think it can help us uncover what's really there, and help us to as coaches move that client forward in that process as well.
Well, yes, well said, Ms. Jackie, indeed. So, in what ways can procrastination to be a form of resistance, hiding deeper concerns or doubts?
Right. So I think procrastination, I think it can show up in so many ways, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing. So it's interesting because someone will tell you they want to change, but they keep delaying that. So to me, that's a form of procrastination, because they keep putting that off or something like that, or they keep delaying what they need to do, right? So they don't do their tasks, or they don't go towards their goals, and they don't reach those. So that could be, and also too, I think those hard conversations, they avoid those. So I think that's a form of procrastination too. They know it's necessary, right? But they avoid it. So so it's interesting how they tend to do that, and it shows up in different areas of our life, too, like in our relationships and career decisions that we make. We may procrastinate and put that off as well. So I think it's important to see the connection there as well.
To see the connection, yes, indeed. And procrastination is often, well, misunderstood as laziness, but in many cases, it's actually a form of resistance, a protective response that hide deeper concern, fears, or doubts. When we delay important tasks, it is usually not because we're lack of time or ability, but because something beneath the surface is creating emotional discomfort. But that's true, right? We
Yes.
procrastinate because we are not, or we don't like the thing that we will do.
Right.
So, Miss Jackie, we can learn, or how can learning to recognize resistance to help you make more intentional decisions?
Hmm. Yes, I think, yeah, I think it can, and it can help when you are able to recognize what it is, right, that's causing the resistance, and then it can help you to be able to make those changes, right, and to be able to move forward. So I think once you recognize that, I think it's good. And like we say, peeling the onion back, right, peeling back those layers and getting to the core of it, I think that really helps. So and just do it a little bit at a time. I don't think you want to, as they say, you don't want to rip off the band-aid, as they say, right, all at once, and that hurts, right? So just,
Yes.
I would say, be graceful to your clients, and just know that, there's probably some other things that are going on that are causing the resistance, and just uncovering that one layer at a time, I think, is the best way to do it. Baby steps, as we say, right?
Baby steps, yes, definitely. And people learning to recognize the resistance allows you to make more intentional decisions because it helps you to pause, reflect, and understand what is really influencing your choices rather than reacting automatically. And Miss Jackie, what fears commonly appears as resistance when you are close to making important change? What is an
Mm,
important change?
all right. I think it's when we're close to that turnaround, right? Or that moment where we're going to cross over to that other side, right? And have
Yes.
that pinnacle. It's almost like, you know how you have Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You have your basic needs, and then all the way at the top of that pyramid of Maslow's is self actualization. That's where you reach the peak of whatever you are, wherever you are in life, and whatever goals you have. So, but it takes steps to get there. You don't just get to self actualization just by living and just by doing certain things. It takes intention, right? So I think that's one of the things we need to remember is what motivates people to move towards that self actualization. We have to make sure our needs are met, our not, and that's not just our basic needs, but first and foremost our basic needs, and then we can move towards that higher level of self actualization. So that's a good way to think of it too. And for those that aren't familiar with Maslow's, um, you know, make sure to look that up and see what that's all about. But we've taught about it in school and things like that, and in professional development we've had professional development sessions about that. So, and I remind my students of that as well sometimes, because that's important to, especially when you're doing something like going back to school, right? Or something like that.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
So important.
Truly important, people. So, when you are close to making an important change, resistance often intensify because you are stepping into uncertainty. I myself, I have that period where I said, I will take the risk. Because they said if you will not take the risk, you will not learn something else. So this resistance usually appears in the form of fear, and these are fears are often deeper than the first appear. Recognizing them helps you understand why change can feel uncomfortable even when it's necessary for growth. And Miss Jackie, when should you push through the resistance, and when should you pause and reflect on its message?
Yes. I think I would say push through it when you know you're almost there, like we talked about, where you're almost at the end of that, or you're almost about to reach your goal. I would say continue to push through. But if you feel like something is actually doing more harm than good, and you feel like it's actually causing someone overwhelming anxiety, or you feel like it's going to cause someone to actually uh, have more of a setback, they're not going to go anywhere. I think it would be good to kind of take a pause and just reflect on it and see, maybe does the client need to move forward with it, and or do they need to move on towards something else. So I would say just kind of take a step back for a moment and reevaluate it.
Reevaluate definitely. And well, Miss Jackie, to wrap up our discussion for today, how can embracing resistance lead to a greater clarity, confidence, and transformation?
Hmm. Yes, I think what it does is it allows us to recognize where maybe our weaknesses are, and be able to work on those weaknesses, or those areas of opportunity, I like to call it sometimes, and work on those and strengthen those areas, because we all have weaknesses, right? We all have areas where we could improve ourselves. So I think it allows us to be able to recognize those without us shaming ourselves, or without the coach shaming us, but actually
Yes.
recognizing those as areas of opportunity and areas for growth, because there are some ways that you can do that, and you don't have to say, oh, you're bad at this, or or you're poor at this, or whatever. There can be a way that we can phrase it so that it's not, so that it can be motivating to the client. And so I think that there's ways that we can do that. One thing that we do in at GCU, and they do this in the College of Education, and I really love how they do this. So in assignments, they have uh, talk about one glow area, and the glow is your strength, and then one grow area, and the grow is where you need to, right, you have that opportunity for growth. So I like that, glow and grow, and it rhymes. So I love it. So maybe, find a way that you can make it stick and do glow and grow, right? So
Yes.
I'm sure they wouldn't mind if someone took that and did the glow and grow. I'm sure it's out there, but it really stuck with me, and I was like, I like that. I like the glow and the grow. It's really neat. So yeah, so find a way that makes it where it sticks for the client, and they feel like it's something where, oh, okay, I'm growing, I'm learning. So yeah, it's neat.
Definitely glow and grow. They goes together.
Mm-hmm.
Embracing resistance can lead to a greater clarity, confidence, and transformation because resistance often appears when you are standing at the stage of growth instead of avoiding discomfort. Learning into resistance allows you to discover what is holding you back and what is calling you forward. So, Miss Jackie, would you like to plug in something?
Sure, I love it. I've done this 4 times today, so trying to make it a little different each time. I love it. So, if anyone wants to follow my educational podcast and learn more about what I do day in and day out as an instructional designer and an educator, feel free to follow my podcast called Designing with Love, and it's 100 episodes, 100 episodes strong. Wow, hard to believe it. And I'm in 85 countries now, so keep growing.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Congratulations, partner. Yes, people, to wrap up our discussion for today on Coaching 101, we talk about resistance. Resistance is not the enemy, it's the often a doorway to growth, clarity, and transformation. When you encounter resistance, it usually means you are facing something meaningful, something that challenges your comfort zone, or something that calls you to become a better version of yourself. Instead of stepping back, learning to listen to resistance to help you to understand your fears, refine your purpose, and move forward with intention. As Miss Jackie is saying, grow and glow, or either otherwise, grow and glow, or glow and grow. They are the
Yes,
same.
glow and grow. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, think of at least one glow and one grow every time you work on something. Yeah, I like it. One glow, one grow.
Yes. So, Miss Jackie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for joining us and keep learning.
Bodycon people, see you soon.